Hi, this is Reese from Creator, and this is a video about how users can do timesheets. Now, the last video was how they can clock on, clock off, and use the timers to time their time. So usually what happens now is the users have to now do the timesheets for the administration to then either do payroll or invoicing or both, for example, or depending on what accounting package you have. So we're going to go through the users. Now, I'm logged in as Pete Bites, which is the little man over here, and I want to actually now do the timesheet. So I click on the drop down menu my user and I go to weekly. So you have to be in a PC view to do timesheets because obviously it has a lot of components there. So it's not a big deal, but they click on this beautiful screen here and it gives them this week on hand. So I want to go through there's three elements here. So the start week for Pete the Pipes is that you've got activities. So that's the timer. So the previous video we timed on jobs, timed on customers, timed on companies or tickets or whatever it is, and it shows here all the activities that they have. So the activities are what you have done. The next one is your work hours. So that's kind of shows you what work hours you need to do. Which is 40 hours, which is in the settings my user settings up here on what hours I do and what days I do work. The next thing is your time clock. It is the clock on and clock off that we have, which is here. So we're going to see here there's a lot of missing elements, and so the users have to fill in the gaps of what they have actually forgotten. Surprise, surprise, users do that all the time. And so the user then has to go through the activity. So what we're going to do is cover the time clock. So, for example, we've got Friday. I forgot I went on site. It was no internet, and I want to add that line in manually. So what I want to do is I click on the add button, and it's both. And I'm going to say it was actually a job for fixing pipes, and that was connected to Brad Haddon, and the activity type was going to be job activity, and you can customize those for jobs. And I want to have, I started at 9 o'clock, and you can just change that. I started at 8 o'clock, whatever it is. I'm going to choose 9 for this one, and I'm going to make it for 8 hours to stay here. So just a nice interface that you can do that I did this for 8 hours. You can also put a note in here going installation of the pipes and fix up, whatever it is. So you've now adding the line in here of 8 hours for that particular one. So, for example, you can go through and look at some other times and say, look, I'm going to create activity for Thursday. I did the time clock, but I forgot to time on a job. So you can go, I did an activity on here, and it was for job, whatever it is. We'll just scroll through and pick any one. And it was for this customer, Reese Harper, activity, and it was for Thursday because we were missing the Thursday activity, and that's for invoice. Remember, so I clocked on, clocked off, but I haven't clocked onto the job itself, and I want to do that. So I'm going to just now create a job for Thursday. Okay, so Thursday, 14th, all the way down there, it was 4 hours. Okay, I did 4-hour job there. So I've added those lines in there, and what I can just then do is create these lines like that. Okay, fantastic. So what's happened now is that you can see that I've added 8 hours on the activities. I can click on there's the job activity that I've added. See there, I'll move my face. Installation of the pipes and fix up. Fantastic. I've also timed on the clock here of 8 hours. It's created work hours for 8 hours there, and then also 4 hours on an activity on here for a client. So that is how the user can do a timesheet itself inside Creator, and so you can do this clock on, clock off. Which is the actual time clocks. You can then time on things like customers. You can time on jobs, on tickets, on even a quote, for example. Because if you like time, you can create a quote, time on that, put it into a job, and invoice later as well. So you can actually on estimations invoice from there as well. So that's why we did that as well. If you're wondering why a quote, for example. So that is doing time sheets for users. Okay, the next video will be what administration users need to do on the next step to push into the accounting systems. Continue watching.